I always say everybody knew her, but she said that means everybody don't know me. Dr. Sharita came. She has a love for Africa. Come from a healing family. I wish my father and mother, I met her father, Dr. Paul Goss, you know, of the New Body family.
That's right.
Something special on Cashew.
Greetings, family. He said I have 10 minutes, so I don't think I'll be able to do the whole presentation because I did do a small documentary on the cashew crop business. First of all, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I was straight out of Compton. And was in Atlanta for 20 years, so I see a lot of Atlanta in the house.
Yeah, Atlanta region.
If you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, I had a store called In My Nature in Stone Mountain.
Yes,
And we had, that was me. That was, I had at the time. Yeah, so I was you guys' neighbors, Decatur there. So I've been here for the last 10 years, pretty much. I first came in 2006, and I came again early 2007, and then at the end of 2007, the third time I came is when I came with the African for the Africans. So I was here for their second anniversary. And I've seen the group grow, and I've seen a lot of people come. Some stay, some come and go. Some have been investing. Some people love it here. Some people, they can't do Ghana. You know, we have some of everything, but at the end of the day, it's always nice to at least make that, at least one trip in your lifetime. And that was always my father's thing. He's very Pan-African, holistic and all that. And that was what, I have Pan-African family, and that's what drove me to always want to come to Africa. So his thought was, you need to at least go to Africa one time. He didn't think I was going to stay. As a matter of fact, I think he's the most mad at me. The one who loved Africa the most. He wants me to be, you know, with him. But, you know, at the end of the day, I have to be, you know, where my heart is. Because otherwise, it won't be right. So I'm here today because I wanted to talk about a very viable investment that you can get into here. Farming is definitely something that we know is growing and much needed, but I decided to get into the cashew crop. Now I'm very new to this, and what we're doing is we're actually looking for working investors. Right now we have 3. We have 3 working investors. We have $20,000 that we're working with right now. Our goal is to be able to do processing in Ghana. What we don't know is the cashew, most of the cashews are grown in Africa. I personally didn't know that. 6 weeks ago, Spirit woke me up and said, check out the cashew business. I've been having a friend saying, Sharita, let's get into the cashew business almost for 3-4 years. But it's kind of one of those things, I'm doing so much already, I don't know the first thing to do or where to go, whatever, but then just one day, just like that, Spirit said, get up, make a phone call the African Cashew Alliance. You've been seeing, my car actually broke down in front of the place one day. And I left it there for 3 months because I was done with the car. And then finally I said, you know what, yeah, let me call these people. Couldn't really get nobody on the phone, went on the website, checked out everything, and then I said, let me just go down there. And then I asked them, I said I wanted to talk to the main person in charge, the managing director. And they're kind of looking at me like, who are you? Are you a member? You know, where are you coming from? And all these different things. I said, I'm here to find out more about the cashew business. I'm looking to get into it. So they went ahead and let me sit down with them. He's an economist from out of Nigeria. He just moved here. He was new to the place, being that I've been here for 10 years. I was able to kind of talk to him about Ghana and different things. And I was able to kind of charm my way into making a space into the African Cashew Alliance. So I brought, like I said, I did a video. I went to an area called Brongahako region. And I think some of you guys went there last year. And I've been meeting with someone from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and one of Ghana's best cashew farmers, regional as well as all of Ghana. So they're here, sitting right behind you, Mr. Freeman, Mr. John, can you please stand up? I want to ask you to come up and say a little something because these are the experts, you know, in the business, and this is who I'm creating a family with. Now let me tell you how this thing has how spirit works here. Whenever you decide that you want to do something, it's already done. From my own testimony, I can tell you that. Whenever you decide that you want to do something, all you have to do is just walk towards it. The spirit works a little bit different here because first of all, you're in your own space where you're from, where your roots are from. We don't have as much interruption. Even in the city, you know, it's not so much like LA, Atlanta, New York, where there's so much static, so much interruption, so much going on to where you can't even see straight sometimes. So I don't have that same experience here. And if I get to the point, Ghana has its pros and cons, but if I get to the point where it's just too much, I just stay home. I meditate, figure it out, and then boom, I'm back on it. Or somebody will give me a call, Sharita, what's going on? They already know something is going on, and they call me and say the right thing. It's just a different thing. So like I said, when I decided to go into the cashew business, everything just fell into place. I called up somebody I knew from the north. They made a phone call to a friend that they knew. That friend knew this person here, and then boom. I went there. I went to go talk to the farmers to try to figure out. I wanted to know everything about the cashew business, from the farm to the table, from the farm to this. And what was nice is that I went back and I was able to do some filming, and Mr. John and his family opened up their home, because I stayed in the hotel the first time. I was like, you know, the hotel wasn't all that. And I was like, I might as well stay in the village, because I felt real comfortable when we went to go to the village and see the cashew farms and dealing with the family. So what I can say is amazing about this relationship is that I can see that they have Africa in them. A lot of people live here in Africa, but Africa is not inside of them, whether you're from here or not. And one of the things I said when I introduced myself, I said I'm an African anti-American. Almost got a standing ovation. I think it was about 20 people. I couldn't believe. I was like, hey, wait a minute. Okay, so that was one thing. They were very open, family-wise, to say, oh, Sharita, yeah, you come stay in our house. And what, you know, the first thing I told them, I said, well, I'm vegetarian, so I don't know what we're going to eat. Just so happened, the food they were eating that night was no fish, no chicken, no anything. It was just a typical meal they were having, and we were able to sit down and eat. So I said, okay, I can eat here. And then what got me, Bomani, I want you to listen to this. One of his children, I think you have 4 girls?
Yeah, 4 girls.
One of the children had a black doll. That was it.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
all I need
yeah.
to see. That's when I said, this is definitely the people that I will be dealing with when it comes down to dealing with this cashew business. I got the #1 farmer in Ghana for the region and for all of Ghana for cashew. I mean, that's how spirit works. And I know, and then a friend comes to town from Atlanta. You guys know him, Ayatoro.
Yeah.
He comes to town, and he was the one that was always in my ear about the cashew thing. So I said, this is what I'm doing. He said, okay, cool. I got information already. I got place in Ivory Coast. I got, had all this going on. Let's have a meeting. Boom, we had a meeting. I said, we need to become a member of this African Cashew Alliance. He said, well, how much is that? I said, $650. And then he's like, okay, here. He pulled out half the money. That's what I was talking about. People who can talk and put the money on the table at the same time. But you know, that's very hard for us to do sometimes. Because we have a lot of ideas and a lot of ambition, but we don't have that money or the capital or that the time to put into doing something and doing it well. So basically, like I said, I found out that the cashews mostly are grown in Africa, also Vietnam, but the processing, 90% of the processing is done outside of Africa, in India and Vietnam. When you go, they'll tell you when you go to the farms and the people want to buy, the people who are coming to buy are Chinese and Indians. That seems to be the trend with a lot of businesses here. Yes. And the problem is they're able to come together regardless of what their differences are. It's about business and we're going to do this thing. We somehow are not able to do that. So I want to be able to change that. I told them today that I'm not just looking to come like the Indian and the Chinese to just make some profit. I'm looking to build a loyalty towards each other. You know what I'm saying? So whenever something's going on, it's like nobody can step in and take my business. You know what I'm saying? The Chinese man can come and overpower. The Indian can come in and say, "Hey, forget about that lady. I want loyalty," and we have to do that with each other because that's one of the things I think we're missing. And if we can at least deal with that, we don't have to worry about our differences as far as religion or political background and things like that. So that's the first relationship I'm trying to build, along to make sure that we have a strong root for the business that we're trying to accomplish. So because I don't have a lot of time, one of the things I wanted to do is I'm looking to gather some working investors. When I say working investors, meaning that you're going to come in, you're going to deal with research, financing, you're going to find buyers, you're going to deal with the processing, you're going to deal with the advocacy, the education of the cashew, and all these different things in order to make a very strong business. Right now, one of the biggest processors in Ghana right now is called UC Bras. They're actually a Brazilian company, and they're processing 35,000 metric tons right now. And they've only been open, I think, for about a year. We have a company called MIMS. I think they're doing 15,000 metric tons a year, and I think they're the second biggest, in Ghana. Still, it's not much. Even with UC Bras, they're only dealing with their own brand. They don't do anything for anybody else but their own, company. So, looking at all of this, I thought, first of all, the supply and the demand is so much different. The demand for cashews in the world is here. The supply is here. So anytime I told someone I was getting into the cashew business, no matter where it was, whether it's on the phone talking to somebody in the States or here, they said, "Wow, that's a good business to get into." So just constant confirmation let me know that I'm going in the right direction. So what I wanted to do is really point out, every time I go to the States, I take cashews from here, and these get eaten first, and then they go back to the inferior stuff. Because just to show you that the cashew that is done in Ghana, I want to send it around. I want everybody to take one, bite it, eat it, what have you. And then you can see that there's a big difference in the quality of the cashews. I also have a partner that's coming to join us, Dr. Aris Latham, who's a master raw food chef. If you know anything about Dr. Aris Latham, he's a master raw food chef for the last 40 years. He's a master of masters. And he's actually come out with his own brand. He started with young coconuts. Just recently, he sent 10,000 coconuts to Whole Foods. So he has this account called Aris Delights or something like that. And he's looking to have more products that he's going to be branding. So when I told him about the cashew thing, again, another confirmation, he said, "Sharita, I know everything about the cashew." He's a total cashew connoisseur. So he's going to be coming here to teach us some classes anyway. So when I told him, I said, "Look, when you come here, we're going to do the classes, but we need to do some business." He's in Panama, and he told me, "Sharita, if you get this stuff to Panama, I can get this stuff to all of the Western Hemisphere. I know how to work this thing." So you see, all these different things are coming into place. And I'm telling you this part of it because I want you to know that when you come here, don't worry about anything. Don't have so many expectations. Just know what you want to do and just start moving forward. And trust me, people will start to fall into place. It's been that way for the whole 10 years that I've been here. I've had some very incredible experiences that I can share with you guys later. I want to have Mr. Freeman to kind of talk a little bit about who he is and what he's doing for the cashew crop as far as government. And then if you can kind of talk to why they should get into investing into the cashew crop, here in Ghana. Mr. Freeman, you
Hello, good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Ghana. Thank you. My name is Freeman. I work with Ministry of Food and Agri. But basically, cashew. cashew got to Ghana some years back, actually from Cote d'Ivoire, because we share boundary with them. And when cashew came, previously it was seen as an ornamental crop. Okay? So the interest wasn't that there. But people who are very close to the Ivorian border, they started establishing cashew farms. So about 5 years ago, the interest started coming. And the fact was that a lot of people, especially the buyers, and these our Indian brothers, started coming down to buy the cashew. Okay. And as at that time, the price of the cashew wasn't that good, because people had, the farmers didn't have enough education as to whatever kind of crop they are planting. They didn't know what cashew can do. For that matter, those Indians, they just took advantage of that fact, and they were giving them very low price. So with the coming in of a lot of projects, one was CDP, Cashew Development Project, and then African Cashew Initiative. The farmers had the opportunity to be trained. And as part of the training that were given to them, they were taken through good agronomic practices, quality issues, drying, and all that. And with that, they have developed very strong bargaining power. So as you speak now, unlike previously when they were exploited somehow, but then there's now the cashew business in Ghana is very interesting, very motivating. All the actors along the cashew value chain, that is the farmers, who are the producers, the raw nut cashew buyers. And when I talk of the raw nut cashew buyers, they are the ones that buy and export the cashew raw to overseas for processing there, especially like the Indians and the Vietnamese and all that. And then the local processors, who are the ones who buy and do the processing here, the transporters and all the others. There's serious competition. And the competition is because the quality of Ghana cashew is very good. When you compare with other countries, we have something that we call outing. And outing is basically about the value of the usable kernel, the one that you are consuming, like when you pick a bag, what is the value? Okay. And when you compare that of Ghana to Ivory Coast, to Benin, Mozambique, and to other countries, other producing countries, you realize that that of Ghana is very good. And for that matter, everybody wants to buy cashew from Ghana. But as you speak now, production level is not that much, because the interest is now growing. The production level is around 70,000 metric tons. That is what we are able to produce now. Though the expansion in farms and all that. So not to say so much, Ghana cashew is very good. Every actor who is into cashew wants to come to Ghana. And when it's around January,
Annual season.
Annual 70,000.
yeah, 70,000, yeah, annual. And when it's around January, then when you come down, you see the Indians all around the cashew producing areas. And in Ghana, we have about 17 districts that are into cashew, but a lot of them are in Buahafu. Yes, the Buahafu is where we produce a lot of the cashew. Yeah, so Ghana cashew is good. And in fact,
How is cashew to grow? When I see a cashew, it's in a bag. Oh, okay. But I mean-
Yeah, I'm passing around the small cashew
No,
now.
but I mean
Yeah.
in a tree, on a bush, on a vine. Yeah.
Okay, well, just to give a quick, we talked about this earlier. Mr. John has a 50-acre farm, a mature, he has 100 acres, but 50 acres is mature, seasonal. The 50 acres will give you 16, I calculate 16,000 kilos. And we know it's 2.2 pounds inside of a kilo. So 16,000 kilos. That's a 50-acre farm. That's the average. And that's of the raw cashew nut. Now, because we don't have a lot of time to really go in, because it's a lot of information, the cashew business is very detailed and very intricate, like most, I think, crops are. But what's very unique is that we don't know really much about the cashew, the apple that comes along with it, we throw it away, and things like that. So, yeah.
I was just going to ask, what do you do with the fruit? Because you can make juice, you know.
Exactly, because I think you're from the islands and you do something, yeah. People in Brazil as well.
We'll take questions after. Tell them all the questions till after, and then we'll have a question.
Okay, so you're holding questions to after, and I'm also available afterwards as well. But I wanted to just kind of touch on, I wanted to make sure that you guys had exposure to an actual investment. Not just talking about, oh, you can get into this, get into that. I want you to actually see that there's something that you can actually get into and invest into that's a viable business. Not only that it's a viable business, but it's something that Black people need to get into. We need to start owning these processing companies. We're always a consumer in everything. And this is Africa. This is Africa for the Africans. That's what this whole thing is supposed to be about. Me, myself, I do, just to say, I do the African Culture and Wellness Festival here every year. February is coming up. This is one of the directories that we have for 2016. They're free. I want everybody to make sure that they're getting one. We'll pass them around. Also, he mentioned New Body Products. We're celebrating this year 40 years in business. Black owned and operated, straight out of Compton. We have over 20,000 distributors. We're in 17 different countries, including Ghana. And this is one of the products that we have in the market, the colon cleanser. Okay.
CKLS, right?
So yes, CKLS. So anyway, I'm available afterwards when you have questions. I have my cards and I'm going to pass around my information.
Okay, let's give them a round of applause. Okay, family, so we're moving right along. We want you to get as much as you can.